Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
It's great to spend a little time with you as we get ready to celebrate the day of Easter, the promise of resurrection brought to life in Jesus. And during our Lenten time here as a staff, we've actually been studying the book by Abraham Joshua Heschel on Sabbath. And the book has a quote in it which struck me as connecting to our Easter celebration. And it's simply this: all our lives should be a pilgrimage to the seventh day. And of course, the seventh day in the Jewish tradition is the Sabbath, the gift that God gives us of what life in eternity is like. And I think that's closely connected to the gift of resurrection, to the promise that we see embodied in Jesus that we celebrate at Easter, and how the experience of that resurrected life actually transforms us and informs how we live out here and now the call to follow Jesus, to serve God's people, to stand with the most vulnerable. I love it when the work that we do in Lent actually connects with Easter. And so for me, that quote is helping me connect the journey of Lent with the journey toward Sabbath, which is really the journey into the fullness of resurrection and of life and of hope.
I agree. One of my favorite phrases in all of our liturgy is that we say we live in the sure and certain hope of the resurrection. We say that in our burial office. And at the House of Bishops meeting this last month in Alabama, Brother James Dowd, Order of St. Benedict, unpacked the concept of hope a little bit for us. He talked about how there are certain virtues that come from the ancient world, like fortitude and justice, that come from the Greco-Roman tradition, or really kind of self-improvement concepts. But that the spiritual virtues, faith, hope, and love, as we define them as Christians, don't come from developing ourselves. They come from God. And he went on to say that that's why hope is so reliable. It's not the emotion of optimism, but it is the belief that God keeps God's promises. We hear so much of that in the story of Scripture, but it really reaches its focus and fulfillment in the resurrection. When Jesus had been persecuted for advocating for the oppressed and the helpless, the empire didn't like it, and they didn't treat him well. And in the end, God raised him from everything that empire could do to anybody, ultimately death, and opened the way for all of us. So hope is not something that we can lose. It's just something that we can forget about. It's always there. And the hope of the resurrection is our life and our joy, and the thing we celebrate with most excitement at Easter. So alleluia, Christ is risen.
Hallelujah indeed, and joy and blessings on this holy Easter day as we live into the promise of hope and the fullness of resurrection.